Good morning. Um, it's been a little while, and I've done some posts in the interim, but most of them I'd never posted online because for a variety of reasons, but mainly tech limitations. So I also have not been doing a ton of these because I have been binging a lot lately, and that's not something I feel really great about, but it's my truth. And I was really reluctant to get on and post today, but I have been having some thoughts that I thought would be helpful for me to share. I find that sometimes my truth doesn't become quite so deeply ingrained in me until I share it with someone. And so that's what I'm doing. Um, Goodness, I've got this hair. Okay. So the theme for me lately has been this idea that I know that binging is not healthy for me. I know that it puts me in a headspace that's not a good idea. That's not, I want to say socially acceptable, but I numb out on it. And I also know that there's this theory that basically until something stops working, you keep doing it. And so I've continued to do it. It must be working on some level. But every time I eat off plan and I enter that sort of disconnected headspace, like the first thing I do is just start researching, like, how do I stop doing this? And so I'm looking at this also from the perspective of it being kind of like the whole cycle is an addiction. Even trying to fix it is part of the addiction, it seems like. So I think I've mentioned this before, but basically it's like once I've eaten off plan, I don't want to do anything other than that. But the fact that I want to research how to get better tells me that it's actually part of the cycle. It's not challenging me anymore, and for the most part. What does challenge me is when I sit down and actually write some of the thoughts that I'm having during that headspace. And so I did that. I've done that the last 2 nights, and I've been praying around this notion of trying to understand powerlessness and hopelessness. So I guess that, within the 12-step program, the first step is we admitted we were powerless over, for me, compulsive overeating, binge eating, and that our lives had become unmanageable. So the root of those steps is from this guy with AA, and his steps came from this group called the Oxford Group. And the first step of that was admitting hopelessness. And so the two, powerlessness and hopelessness, I've just been sort of trying to work through and understand, because I guess, even with accepting Christ into my life, like until I really understood that I needed him, I couldn't really, and even now sometimes, like I disconnect. So I just journaled a ton the last couple of days, and last night in particular, and I kind of hit on this whole thing, and I know I've alluded to this in the past, but basically I have reached a place of hopelessness to the extent that I don't really care a whole lot in a lot of ways. Like I'm tapped out, and I realized that because as I was writing about the fact that I'm so tired of acting as if. We live in this culture that promotes, like, even when you don't feel good, pretend like you are good. And even I get uncomfortable around people who are in a bad mood. I feel like they want attention or they want me to bring them up or whatever. I feel like all of a sudden I have a responsibility to get them to a different place. And so I suddenly resent them because, shoot, I can hardly keep myself there. And so I've just started to realize that for me, in order to start to recover, I've got to stop living in the shoulds. I should get better. I should want recovery. I should feel hopelessness. I should feel powerlessness. I should understand all of this. I should follow a plan. I should be joyful and grateful all the time. Like, all of those are shoulds, and I have been living from that world since I was about 5 years old. And there's this other part of me that's like, yo, I'm getting tired of doing shoulds. I'm tired of being put away in a box and ignored because I'm actually your soul and I know what's good for you, but you're afraid because you don't want to trust me because you don't know where we're going to go. And so I'm choosing to open up that box, and it may be a bit of a Pandora's box, but it's all I've got because I'm out of hope. I'm totally tapped out. I can't generate or manufacture any more synthetic joy. It's done. So if I'm going to find any more, it's going to come from this other place, which is my higher power, which I hate admitting sometimes, but I know I'll come back around. So that's kind of what's been going on. So last night I journaled for a while, and a friend of mine was like, why don't you come to a spinning class? And I thought, well, I'm sure this is what God wants me to do. You know, like I'm in the middle of overeating, and I should just put down what I'm doing, go spin, everything will get better. And I was like, but that's not really what I want to do. And I've got to start following the path of what I want to do and learning from that. Like if I do it and I regret it, then I can learn how to discern, like, oh, is this really what I want to do? Or, you know, that kind of a thing. But until I do that, acting out of shoulds is pretending like I know what's right, pretending like I know the answer based on a, once again, to use the word, manufactured understanding of the right way to be living. I clearly don't know the right way. If I did, I wouldn't be where I am. Most of us don't, it seems. But that's beside the point and not my place to say. I just know I don't. So I'm getting all animated about this, but so my friend invited me to do spinning. I didn't do it. I stayed home. That's when I did the writing, which was really helpful. And then I had promised myself that I would just do something childlike. So I got out my acrylic paints and finger painted. And that was hard at first because it was like, okay, you've got to do a masterpiece. And I didn't do a masterpiece. But details aside, I actually did something that was enjoyable, even though it wasn't going to have any sort of like measurable outcome. And I'm glad that I did because I think I woke up feeling good because of that 20 minutes of listening to music and playing with paints than really anything else that I did yesterday. And that was playing with the little girl who'd been boxed away. So that's what's been going on for me. I get nervous when I end these because I've got to go and enter the day, and it's unpredictable. And you know, there's this part of me that says like you're lying, you're gonna eat off plan, you don't know what you're talking about, you're not really recovered, you don't have anything to share with people. Like all that's very real in my head, and all I can really do is just continue to live with it there, because until something or someone takes it away, it's going to be there, and I can not live or I can live. I really don't like it, but it's part of my reality. So I can tell it that it's not true, which I still don't feel like I have the power to do. But I'm learning more of that as I get connected to God. So, all right, I hope that this finds you well. It does feel good to be back. It's very uncomfortable, but it feels good. And I'm having itchies. So have a great day, and I will talk to you soon, and I'm sending lots of love.